put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. We just at about 7:43 a.m. This morning, and we are happy to welcome, joining us in the discussion, Wendell Walker, and he's the Director of Product Development and Destination Management for the Tobago Tourism Agency Limited. And I'm told that we should also have online Miss Tanya Clovis, President for Save Our Sea Turtles. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Julien. How are you? Good morning to Tobago as well, and to all your viewers.
All right, good morning and welcome. So as we get the conversation, yes, and we have on now Tanya Clovis. Good morning to you and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Morning to everyone.
All right, excellent. As we get the conversation started this morning, we want to start on, the very basis. I want you to give us that synopsis of, why is this commemoration significant and when does it take place in this week?
World Sea Turtle Day is the actual day is on June 16th, which is actually the birthday of the late Archie Carr, who was one of the pioneers of sea turtle conservation throughout the wider Caribbean region. And it was first commemorated in 2000 and is now celebrated globally pretty much throughout the month of June. It falls right in the middle of nesting season, so it's an excellent opportunity to raise awareness about the conservation of turtles and the threats that they still face. And this year's theme is to clean beaches, which is a wonderful reminder of one of our recurring messages that turtles, nesting turtles, hatching turtles especially, just want the same thing that we want, which is clean, safe beaches that are relatively unspoilt. And that is also something that we enjoy. That's something that is good for turtles, and it's also good for tourism. So this connection is for this to celebrate this particular theme this year and this day during the month of June is really quite timely, and it all fits together really well.
Tanya, I'd like you to tell us very quickly, what are some of those actions significant with your organization in terms of in that year-round process, given your focus on saving our sea turtles?
Well, SOS mainly focuses right now. We formed in 2001, and the core of our work remains patrolling the nesting beaches in the Black Rock area, so Turtle Beach, Grafton, Back Bay in particular. And over the years, there are also other small groups, like Nest in Charlottesville, Lance Fromage, Tuapji. There are a couple other groups that also do some things to do more with offshore work. So at this time of year, everyone's focus is really on safe beaches for nesting turtles, and that is not just the patrollers being out there monitoring the nesting and hatching events, making sure that they go smoothly, collecting valuable research data, tagging the turtles, but also the general public being mindful of how they interact with turtles and also how they behave on the beaches during this time of year. So driving on the beaches, particularly as we're going into the August holidays, is such an issue that continues to persist. You might not always know where a nest is by the time it's ready to hatch because it's been under the ground for a while. So everything, there's rain and so on. So people might say, well, I don't see anything there. But just because you don't see anything there doesn't mean there's nothing there. And a vehicle driving over the beach or someone making a big bonfire or sticking a flambeau or something in the sand can destroy a whole nest. And there are volunteers on the beach every night, all night throughout the nesting season. And to lose nests in this way just through carelessness and sometimes a lack of awareness, or sometimes people know and they're just trying a thing, is really discouraging. So that's our main focus always, particularly as we're going more towards hatching. Going into July and August, there'll be less nesting, more hatching. The beaches are going to start looking not so much like with all these big nests everywhere that you can see, but it doesn't mean that there isn't still very important incubation activity happening under the sand. So just encouraging people to be mindful of how they behave on the beach as they go into the holidays.
All right. And Wendell, tell us, from the perspective of the Tobago Tourism Agency Limited and by extension the Tobago House of Assembly, tell us about the role of the Tobago House of Assembly in this commemoration.
Okay, thank you, Julien. So what we, Tobago Tourism Agency Limited, what we're looking at is providing a forum for these organizations who are specifically concerned with sea turtles. So SOS, Turtle Village Trust, and also Book Reef Trust. These are the organizations that we are providing a platform to create public awareness about sea turtles and the value of sea turtles in terms of the ecological balance, in terms of marine life. And from a tourism aspect, it also provides some level of recreation and so on, so that you find that a lot of the divers and people who go snorkeling, turtles are one of the highlights that they look forward to. So we are sort of balancing awareness and as well as mixing it with tourism. And we're also looking at the role of school children. So primary schools are particularly one of the groups that we've invited to the Expo tomorrow. And again, it's starting from young and building that awareness, that appreciation among young people.
All right. So I know that we have the expo carded for tomorrow. That's June 27th from 9:30 a.m. at the Scarborough Library. Wendell, tell us a little bit more in terms of, what can we expect at this event and who is your primary focus? I know you started that in the last response.
Yes, so there'll be 15 primary schools from across Tobago that we particularly invited. But it also includes the general public. But the target or the main focus will be on school children. We'll have a number of exhibitors there. I mentioned before SOS, Turtle Village Trust, the Book Reef Trust as well. There'll also be interactive games, there'll be giveaways, and there'll be talks on conservation, SOS, and Book Reef Trust. All the exhibitors will be having small talks to raise awareness and build empathy, for the turtles and as Tanya described, the hazards that man can place on the turtles by our different activities, either through negligence or just not being aware.
Wendell, I hear you speak, and it's very good in terms of the connection that is being made in relation to supporting, SOS and other entities. But tell me, is this a kind of one-off scenario for for TTAL, or can we certainly look forward to, give us a sense, other efforts in terms of conservation from a local, other private sector groups, and the workings of TTAL in support of initiatives like these?
Okay, so this will be the first year that this specific activity is done observing World Sea Turtle Day. But TTAL is involved in a number of different activities throughout the year from an environmental perspective. So there's World Environment Day, World Mangrove Day, World Oceans Day. Later on this year in September, we'll be involved in Plant a Tree. And we are also looking at World Mangrove Day and doing some activities to preserve some of.
All right, we seem to have lost the connection there. But very good to note that it's not just about a one-off initiative. And just before we close, Tanya, can you give us a sense of that importance in terms of Tobago balancing our responsibility towards environmental sustainability and, promoting ecotourism activities? I suppose if you're not in the field, sometimes you tend to take it for granted. But just remind us of how important that is.
Well, it's really critical, and collaboration, as Wendell was saying, is key to seeing that kind of finding that balance. And it's not just the balance between conservation and tourism initiatives specifically, but development and human activities in general. That's why we like to emphasize, that in many ways we kind of all want the same things. What's best for the turtles is also, in the long run, what's most sustainable for Tobago, for our own development. And keeping that focus, keeping the environment in mind, helps us to keep that focus on what sustainability really means. And it's not just because the environmental sustainability is also very connected to a long-term economic stability. If there are things that are in the short term seeming to be if there are things in the short term that seem quite attractive, that in the long term will actually destroy this very resource, that the resources that support our health or well-being, and also our economy from a tourism standpoint, and also just sort of our quality of life, which is what's key, then it's not really sustainable, over the long run. So we would love to see over time, perhaps some of the beaches like Turtle Beach and Back Bay, some of those key beaches and a couple others, afforded a little bit more protection during the nesting season, so that everything can be a little bit more managed, like they have in Grand Revere, where during the nesting season there's a dusk to dawn arrangement. And things like having turtle patrols covered in the budget, like lifeguards, things like that, where we really put resources. And that's why this event tomorrow is a really nice example of where some of the resources that are available are being put towards the promotion and awareness of conservation and education in the schools and that kind of thing. And that continues to support the growth, not just of the conservation movement in Tobago, but also the Tobago in itself.
Quickly before we close, contact information for those wishing to get further details and to participate tomorrow.
Well, people can contact SOS at 328-7351 on WhatsApp if they're interested in anything to do with turtles. And Wendell can say a little bit more about exactly the event tomorrow is at the Scarborough Library.
All right. So very quickly as we close, your closing comments, Wendell?
9:30.
Hi, good morning. Yes, so it's tomorrow from 9:30 a.m. at the Anne Mitchell Gift Auditorium, Scarborough Library. You can contact Tital. You can contact myself, W. Walker at tobagotourism.org, or you can also call at 628. Let me just get the 628.
All right. So we just
also contact. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Julien, my freeze just. Yeah, so you can also contact us. You can contact Eleanor Lewis at Tobago Tourism Agency Limited.
All right. Thank you very much, dear Mr. Wendell Walker, Director of Product Development and Destination Management for the Tobago Tourism Agency Limited, and Tanya Clovis, President of Save Our Sea Turtles. A gentle reminder, Tobago celebrates World Sea Turtles Day with an expo. Takes place tomorrow at the Scarborough Library, and that's from 9:30 a.m. And it's a free one-day expo. So certainly we are encouraging a very good opportunity for children and young people to learn about having a better appreciation for the environment, and certainly wish you the very best with tomorrow's initiative. So thank you so much for those of you joining us as we prepare to head on over to our next interview. We will be chatting about Kariri Innovation National Training Program. So we look forward to the upcoming discussions that will be taking place, representatives of Kariri, as we speak to the upcoming training program. Viewers, we want to thank you so much for the continued love and support for the Tobago Updates morning show, and to remind you that this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.